Guys, in this video, I am going to talk about some red flags when picking a city and a niche to go into with Rank and Rent digital real estate. First and foremost, what I want to re-emphasize is the fact that picking the city and the niche is more than half of the battle. There's this saying in regular real estate that I hear all the time. You may have heard it, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, which is the money is made in the buy, not in the sell. What this means is if you buy a property that is at a price lower than what it's worth, even if you sell it for the price that it's worth, you're going to make money. But if you buy a property at the price that it's worth or slightly above, then it's going to be very difficult to make money when you sell it. So guys, picking this combination, people breeze over this. People don't take much time. They find one city or they think of the last city they visited or the city that they're from or the city that they're visiting, and they're rolling the dice. And the problem is, especially for those of you that are doing the wheelchair method, and what I mean by that is you're building the website, trying to let it rank and then selling it, is you aren't going to know that this is a bad city and niche combination until it starts to rank and no leads are coming in. Until leads come in and it's ranking and business owners don't want your leads. You're not going to know this for 6 to 7 to 9, maybe 12 months. And that is, again, another reason why it's so important that you pre-sell. Because even if I think I have the city and the niche correctly, and I've done this hundreds of times, I've looked at thousands of city niche combinations, I still miss from time to time. But because I pick the city and the niche, I run a few ads, I get to see what the market's like. I get to go in there as if I was already ranked, right? Because me paying for ads is putting me at the top of Google, and I get to see what kind of volume. I get to take those leads, test out a few different business owners, and really see if there's an appetite in that market. So this is the 7th, 8th, 9th, 100th reason why you guys should be pre-selling and you should not be doing the antiquated blockbuster method. Because I'm going to give you guys some red flags, things that you should be looking out for when going into a city and a niche. These are red flags that if you see them, you need to run for the hills, at least with a couple of them. Some of the other ones, they just mean you need to look very, very closely. So the biggest thing is, guys, is when you guys are looking at a city, you pick a niche, you pick a city, and you start doing some homework. You start typing in the keywords with the city. And again, make sure you've cleared the browsing history. Make sure you're in an incognito window and make sure you're using the correct keywords. But let's say you start doing this, right? The companies that are showing up over and over and over again in the Google My Business section, let's say Jack's Tree Service keeps showing up for tree service, Jacksonville, Florida, tree removal, Jacksonville, Florida. You see Jack's Tree Service again, and you keep seeing Jack in the maps. Here's a really big red flag is if he's showing up in the majority of the GMB for all the main terms, and you look underneath the maps is what we call the organic section. If inside of those rankings, Jack is showing up high, if he's showing up 1, 2, 3, or even on page 1 for all the terms as well, this is a red flag. Okay, this is a very, very big red flag because it's showing you that Jack is pretty well positioned. He's not really going to go anywhere. He's showing up in the maps. He's showing up organically. He very well may be a tough competitor. Now, it's not always the case because sometimes it's just a lack of competition, but oftentimes this is a very, very big red flag. Now, if you guys ever come across a situation where you type in the main keywords and 3 companies keep showing up for the GMB, it's like the same 3 companies, that's a huge red flag. And if those 3 companies are also ranking on page 1 organically,
I'm out, Johnny.
And it's not because you can't eventually rank. It's not because it's impossible. I'm just telling you guys that this is a telltale sign. It's going to be a very competitive niche. It's going to be a very competitive city and niche combination, and is going to take a lot of effort, potentially a lot of time, potentially a lot of resources, backlinks, content, etc. to rank. And the question becomes, why? Why not go after something that's a bit easier? There's no reason to do that. Another thing that I would look out for is reviews. In the past, when I first got into this business 7 years ago, this wasn't as big of a factor. I didn't really look at them as much. However, now if I see people with a lot of reviews and they look like legitimate reviews, they're not a bunch of fake, just 5-star, no comments, but they're legitimate people, legitimate reviews, this is going to make it difficult to rank. So I do take a peek at the reviews. If there's tons of reviews for those top competitors in the maps, this could be another red flag. Now, last 2 things, a couple more red flags, is when you go and look at the websites that are ranking on page 1. If those websites have really, really good content and really, really old domains, the age of the domain is 10 years old, 15 years old, and the content, you can tell that it's well done. You can tell that it's keyword rich. You can tell that there's H1 tags. And by the way, if I'm losing you on some of these terms, keep watching the content. We're going to break all this stuff down. We do break all this stuff down inside of my program, but just bear with me. But if you see looks like it's really good content. And I'm saying like really good content because most of these people, it's a paragraph, it's a customer review, it's a little one sentence here, one sentence there. That's what typically you see. But if it's really good authoritative content, you could be in trouble. This could mean that this customer understands SEO. This customer maybe is paying a company to do SEO, and this could be very, very difficult for you. And as far as age goes, guys, if you have websites that are 20, 30 years old, Google loves them a good old domain. They believe, at least this is kind of the theory, that an old domain shows trust. An old domain shows that this business has been in business for a long time and there's nothing that they should be afraid of. And so they want to put these businesses, these websites at the top of Google because they know that it's most likely that these aren't frauds. It's most likely that these guys are good businesses. And they want to give you and me as the customer searching on Google, they want to serve us up the best results that's going to solve our problems. If they put the companies or websites that are scams or add no value, we're going to stop coming back to Google and then they're going to lose revenue, right? We have to think about how Google thinks, right? And another thing that you may want to pay attention to, those are kind of the biggest things, but I also look and if more than half of the businesses that are showing up on, or the websites that are showing up on page one are actual websites of businesses, that can indicate some competition. And what I mean by that is a lot of times we'll search for Tree Service Jacksonville and it will be Home Advisor, Angie's List, and there's only 3 companies that are even real local companies. And a lot of times we look at these and go, oh, these are big players. I actually would prefer that because guys, Google loves local businesses. Google wants to put local businesses in these top spots. And so sometimes when you see the Home Advisor, the Angie's List, the this, the that, the Yelp, it indicates there is not a lot of local competition. There's not a lot of options for Google to put at the top, and therefore they are putting these big national companies. So my friends, a quick review. Number 1 red flag is if you type in the main keywords and you continue to see over and over the same companies showing up again and again in the Google My Business section, that is a red flag. A step further is if those same companies are also ranking on page 1 in the organic section of those same terms, you run as fast as you can because it's not worth it. Do not touch it. There's easier deals to be had. Second thing, a lot of reviews. You start seeing people that are showing up again and again. They have lots of reviews. They look like real reviews. This can be very, very, very difficult. Third thing is websites that are on page 1 have good content and have old domains. That is something that I would look at. It's one of the factors when I'm looking at a city, I'm looking at a niche combination. I look at those 2 factors. How old are these domains? How authoritative is their content? And as I said, guys, as a bonus red flag thing to look for is if more than half of the companies are showing up on page 1 are real local businesses, this may mean that there actually is some competition. So you're not going to get it right. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make errors. You're going to lose money. You're going to waste money. You're going to go to the wrong city. You're going to go into the wrong niche. But this is so important that you get this piece right. If you get this piece right, everything else becomes easy. If you get this piece wrong, everything else becomes difficult. These are the red flags that you should look for when picking a city and a niche. I'm out.